Hello and welcome back to art class. Today, uh, it's a two-part project, and we're going to focus on the first part. It's actually pretty easy and honestly shouldn't take you very long. We're just going to be painting background today. This part could be done with marker if you're super careful, and I'll explain that in a minute. But I want to show you what I'm doing. Okay, so you're going to need watercolors. Water is obviously a brush. If you have a big brush, it might be handy, or if you happen to have a spray bottle around the house that's clean and you can just put some water in it, you can use this as well. You also notice that, oddly enough, I'm using a pizza pan. Here's the reason why. I've also done this on a cookie sheet, and I've also done it in the lid of a cake pan, anything that this paper fits in. The reason for this is because it takes a long time for this to dry, and I need the table space, and I'm sure that's something at home that you might have the same problem with. So it might be nice if you can ask your mom or dad if you can use something like this that you can then be able to let it dry off to the side. So the way this is going to work, this is kind of a two-part video for one way to do it in color with marker and one way to do it with the watercolor. So I'm going to do the watercolor first, okay? And I'm going to do a very, very quick version of how to do it with the marker. It's not going to be very big at all. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, you can take your brush and get the paper wet. Now, my brush is really kind of tiny, so that's where this comes in handy, because all I'm going to do is just spray the paper and get it wet. Now, if you have thicker, nicer paper, it will take more water. This is just regular computer paper, so it's not really very thick, and it absorbs water almost as good as a paper towel. Okay. All right, so there's that, and then I need to work with either the warm colors or the cool colors. This is going to be a background sky, and we want to do it in the, if you're doing cool colors, you're talking blues, purples, and greens. And what's nice is it doesn't really matter kind of what order you do it in. And the same thing with the warm colors. It'd be kind of like a sunset. So you'd want to have yellows, oranges, and reds. For this one, I will do warm colors. So go in, add some water to the colors I'm going to use. I'm only using these three. And what's nice is we need about a hand space at the bottom to be fairly white. Now, since we sprayed the whole paper, the watercolors will spread out, and that's okay if the colors come down here a little bit, but I want to leave it or at least the bottom a little bit white there. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing, well, I did it wrong. Should do the yellows first because that way it stays clean. So I'm going to do my yellows first. And I'm going to kind of just draw a line so I know where to stop. And as you can see, it starts to bleed already, and that's okay. We want it to be very watery, very, well, a bleed effect is really is what it wants. And we're going to let the colors kind of bleed into each other. It's going to have a very watery look. Don't worry about it. You can see you get air bubbles trapped in there. Not a big deal. It'll just add to the interest of the sky. I'm going to throw a little bit of yellow up here. All right, I'm going to do some orange. I'm actually going to overlap the orange on purpose on top of a little bit of the yellow. Now what's nice is, yeah, you can see that moms and dads might be a little worried, like if you get a little paint on the side. This is all non-toxic material, so as long as you wash it off when you're done with soap and water, you'll be fine. Won't hurt anything. Try to turn that little blob that I made in there into something there. Okay. I need a little bit more orange. That looks awful yellow right there in the middle. Okay, I like that. kind of like fire in the sky. And now I'm just going to let it dry. So this is step one of our picture. It's going to be a winter scene. And so we're going to need to let this dry. We can't do anything else until it's dry. So that's what our first week is going to be, is this. Okay. So if you're doing watercolor, that's all you need to do. Okay. So I'm going to set that off to the side. If you're going to be doing, like you don't have watercolor at home, you can do marker. I really recommend watercolor if you can do it. It makes things so much easier. I'm only going to do a half sheet here because otherwise it's going to take me too long to do this. Well, maybe. Where's my scissors? Oh. Okay. So for markers, okay, the way that's going to work, you're going to want a set of markers. I have one here. I'm going to be using green, blue, and purple. Since I did warm colors, I'll do cold colors here. And it works kind of the same way. The way this is going to work is on here, on our picture here, we sprayed it first. Well, we can't do that with markers. It doesn't work out so well. So what we're going to do is go in and, okay, about a hand space, and fill in your paper. The better and darker you can make this marker space, the better off you are. So if it gets really thin, you're going to have to work on it a little while. And when I'm going to do something that I normally wouldn't do, I'm going to actually purposely color into the next area a little bit. And my next area is going to be blue, because I know blue and green, they mix a little bit. With markers, I know they don't really mix, but when we add some water over the top of this, they will mix a little bit more. So I am going to go in here. Now, like I said, it's going to look better if you're in watercolor, because unfortunately marker doesn't blend as well, but you can get a little bit going on. I'm going to go purposely into the purple area. Now, I'm going to use this plate because this is just about the size of the plate. It would be better if I could use my tray again, but my tray's busy being used for the other part. So you want to be on something, okay? And you're going to do the same thing. You can do it with your brush. In fact, your brush is a good way to go once it's really soaked. So I'm going to spray this first. Get this thing really soaked. And then what I like to do with marker is I'll take my brush and make sure to like kind of see if I can blend the edges with the ink a little bit. Now, like I said, it's not going to look as nice as it does with the watercolor, but we do what we can with what we have. Okay, so that's what you can do, is you can do it with, like I said, watercolor, marker. You choose. Make sure your paper fits pretty well on the picture or whatever you have it trayed in. As you can see, it doesn't fit super well on my plate as well as I would like. Like I said, I only had so many things to put it in. And then let them dry. And take a picture of it once it's dry. And we'll see you next week for the final touches, which is to start layering it up with what's going to be in the foreground. All right, I'll see you next week.